All right, welcome again to another episode of the Outsiders podcast. My name is Adrian, and I am joined by none other than the Layla Darcy. How do you spell your last name, Layla?
D-A-R-S-E.
No kidding, that's how I spell my last name. Maybe we're related. So how are you doing, Layla?
Great, because school's almost over.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to look forward to summer?
Oh, yes.
So what are you going to do this summer?
Not school, that's for sure.
Well, at least you're honest. So, we're going to be doing a book review of the classic book, The Outsiders. Really, really cool book about what are the kind of the two main groups at odds here.
The two main groups are the socks and greasers.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And so the greasers are kind of like rough and tumble, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the socks, are they kind of like, would you describe them as like the rich kids maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So, let's see. Who are the characters? The main characters and the greasers.
Ponyboy and Johnny are the main characters in Greasers.
Okay. So those are the main two characters at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. So we want to know, like, let's pick on one character and just kind of like talk about how they are the kind of represent the greatest example of being an outsider. So after reading this book, who do you think gives off the strongest element of being an outsider?
Oh, Johnny, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And explain why you think that.
Well, Johnny Cade is a vulnerable 16-year-old greaser, and the greasers are defined by toughness in the sense of
invincibility.
Well, yeah, I don't.
They're like Supermen. They think
Yeah.
they're Supermen. Okay.
Superman. And he comes from an abusive home, and he takes to the greasers because they are his only reliable family.
Okay, I see. So what are his personality traits then?
Johnny is a rather passive and insightful person. Although he does not excel in school, Johnny proves that he is intelligent, and while Ponyboy reads to him in an abandoned church on Jay Mountain, he is also a sympathetic, sensitive boy who genuinely cares about his group of friends.
Okay, so how did they end up in this church? From my understanding, there's like a fight at some point, kind of like the beginning of the book, I think.
Yeah, so Ponyboy and Johnny get into this like little argument, little fight, and they are near some of the socks, mostly girls, and
so they're like basically on a date with these two girls.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so then they get in a fight with who then?
They actually. Johnny accidentally just stabs.
In a fight?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he stabs a socks named Bob, who is Cherry's boyfriend, actually.
That's not good. So you just talked about Johnny being rather passive and insightful.
And then he just.
But then he does this.
Oh yeah.
So does this, you think, make it untrue that he's passive and insightful, or is he kind of like all the above? Like
he's just everywhere. Like he's all of the above. He can be just very passive and insightful person, but then he could have just some rough times.
Okay. Well, you were talking about his abusive childhood that can create problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for sure. So then after the fight, what happens?
Well,
do they like take off, run away? Do they turn themselves in? Like what happens?
So the socks and greasers just get into this big fight, and then Johnny just after he stabs Bob, he dipped. He was out. He was he ran off. And
did Ponyboy go with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, they were running away. He was just talking, and he just decided to turn himself in for the murder. And so on his way over to turn himself in, he actually noticed a church that was on fire. And
Who was in? Was there somebody in the fire?
It was a bunch of kids and stuff, and he goes in and he tries to save all of them, but
Ponyboy and Johnny do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Johnny got hurt and then just eventually dies of his injuries.
No kidding. So this is interesting. So Johnny dies as a result of his, I'm assuming he was burned up, right? Mm-hmm. So this is interesting. We see this guy being an outsider. So let's go back to what we were talking about earlier. What does being an outsider mean? If Johnny is the true outsider, what does that really mean?
Well, he's an outsider because, he stabbed Bob. And then on his way to just turn himself in and stuff, he just saves these kids. So it's kind of just unsure if he's just good or bad. So he's an outsider because he doesn't know who he is or what group he kind of just fits into.
So he's conflicted.
Yeah.
So what do you take away from this book? What maybe is the moral of the story? Is it it's, even though you may feel like an outsider, you do belong?
Yeah.
No, wait. So because the way we painted the picture of the Greasers before, right? You said they're invincible and tough, but we found out that that's not true at all of Johnny whatsoever. Yeah. Because stabbing someone who maybe, I don't know, maybe they didn't have a knife, probably isn't tough. That's actually kind of weak sauce, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Johnny is really a true outsider because he doesn't fit in with anybody.
No.
Now, do you feel like you fit in? How do you relate to Johnny?
Well, I definitely could also feel just am I good? Am I bad? Because there are some times where I could just get mad at friends, and then that's when I feel guilty or I feel the bad guy. But then there are also times where I would just, when they're hurt, I'd comfort or just honestly just give them just a ton of appreciation and stuff. So it's I'm over here being just mad and just mad at them even for something they didn't do. But then I'm also just their comfort and their safe place. Mm-hmm. So
So you relate with Johnny quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Well, this is a great book, and we recommend it anybody to read this very classic book, and specifically pay attention to Johnny. Do you have anything else to add?
Have a great summer.
Have a great summer. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Outsiders Podcast. We will see you next time.